The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Kiwi.
All right, well, joining me now in the Kiwi studio is Ashley Jenkins, a.k.a. Jinx, as a lot of gamers around the world know her as. She was part of the Frag Dolls gaming team in the US, a professional gaming team made up of only women, and was apparently at the time, I don't know if they still are, we'll find out, but it was the best gaming team of women in the world. She's now based in Sydney with the Xbox division of Microsoft over there. Ashley, good morning.
Good morning.
One thing I want to say to you is, get a real job. Gaming, that's not a real job. Is that the sort of feedback you got from people when you first started getting into it?
Well, actually, when I first started playing video games, because I played them all growing up, they took up all my time. I played them instead of doing homework, and my parents, after I graduated high school, right, they'd be like, when are you going to get a real job? And then I started getting paid gaming, and then they couldn't really talk anymore.
Yeah. What did you start out playing on?
Well, my first video game ever would be on the original Nintendo, and that was Super Mario Brothers.
Of course,
oh,
classic.
Yes.
Yeah. With the soundtrack that would just get stuck in your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Forever. Yeah.
And then I played, Lemonade Stand and things on like an old Apple II or something crazy like that. One of the old black screens with the green text.
So it was an intensive pastime initially.
No, not initially. When I was 7, I didn't even think of it as gaming. It was just sort of something that you do. I didn't really start identifying it as a specific hobby until I got into probably middle school.
Because I was I was a gaming enthusiast as a kid as well. You know, I started out on the Commodore 64 and then moved up to a PC after that. But I never considered it that it could ever be a full-time job or a profession or anything like that. In fact, I think I thought the same thing about radio. So, what was the opportunity that sprang up for you?
Well, I'd grown up playing. I played on PC. All of my friends were guys, just because that's who I knew who played games. I got along very well with them. And when I found out an all-female pro team was forming, the thing that intrigued me about it was, wait, there's other women that are playing?
Yeah.
And they can be good?
Yeah.
And we can talk about girl stuff, and we can talk about games. It blew my mind. So I immediately went in for it, just to be part of that. It was a fantastic experience.
What would you say is the ratio? I mean, it's pretty male-dominated, isn't it?
There's a lot of women that play more casually, but when you get into the competitive gaming and the pro circuits, it is very heavily male-dominated. But a lot of times, if you're a girl, that can work in your favor.
Right. In what way?
It's unexpected.
Yeah.
So these guys may be sitting across from you, and they see a bunch of girls sit down. They're like, "Oh, this is gonna be a piece of cake," and then they get slaughtered, and they just have no idea where it came from. Because sometimes when you're not taken seriously, it's a super secret weapon.
So when you were in the Frag Dolls, what games were you playing?
We played. We were owned by the game publisher Ubisoft.
Okay.
And that they were our primary sponsors. So we played a lot of the tactical military multiplayer games, the team-based. So Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six. Those were the main ones, and we competed on Halo as well for a while.
So a lot of those, I mean, you wouldn't generally associate it as female interests. You know, guns, shooting people, third-person shooters, that kind of thing. You wouldn't normally associate that with an entry, something that a female would be interested in.
Oh, I don't know. I think anyone who's seen one of us ladies have like a PMS rampage knows that we're not all sugar. There's spice in there.
Yeah.
and it's a lot of fun, actually. It becomes at that level not just about the idea of shooting people in the game and all that. It's actually a very tactical thing. It becomes much like chess in that way, where you see the level that you're playing, and you have to know everything that happens in that level down to seconds, and be able to know exactly where people can go, where they can't go. It's all about communication. So it becomes like a different kind of game, almost.
Is there a certain part of the brain, do you think, that gets lit up, that a certain part of the brain that can understand that virtual space that's outside of your real world, that's in the virtual world, but there's this world, and understand the 3D elements inside?
Yeah, I think that it's very different from the way I think about things in normal life is when I'm thinking about choke points and when I'm thinking about cover and all that stuff. I would never walk down the street and be like, oh, I can take cover there. Well, after I've been playing too many video games, I do tend to think that.
Yeah.
But it does change the way that you perceive the space and what it can be used for and all that.
Because when you say, tactical like chess, I mean, you know that there is a piece of cover maybe on the other side of this map that's over there, and you know that you can get there or in a certain way, or there's various different ways you can get there in a virtual realm. And I think that for non-gamers, that's quite hard to understand.
Yeah, the nice thing is that the games, for the most part, are set in a pseudo-realistic world. So the idea being that most of the, in the game, like the military units, it's, there's the soldiers and there's the terrorists.
Yeah.
And there's, here's this city, and so it's based on buildings, and then you've got tables and chairs and all that stuff. So much like, I guess, a Hollywood movie or something where there's lots of fighting and explosions going on, while it's not really realistic, it's based on what we know is real, so that we have a frame of reference.
You also started writing in the space and talking about the space online, and particularly with the politics of the virtual world. I mean, is the virtual world political?
Yeah, well, I started running and making my own fan sites for video games when I was 18. And one of the games that I made a site for was an online game, kind of like World of Warcraft, that was called Shadowbane. And the idea of this game was that you play all against other people. So you have factions, and you can make alliances, and you can build your own cities, and you can siege a city and tear it down, very medieval style. So those games where it's all about politics, it's all about power, it's all about how people deal with each other, and it's set in kind of a fantasy role-playing setting. But the politics of it are very real. So I worked as kind of an in-game journalist. I would go to major battles, and I would go to major sieges, and I would just write down what happened,
right,
like a virtual war journalist. Kind of. It was really cool. It was a very interesting way of seeing the world. And
it can't be played down, can it? Because for all those participants, this is extremely important.
Yeah, and it's not to say like they think it's real, but it is important because the interactions, even though they may be virtual, they're still real interactions. You're still talking to another person and trying to outsmart them, and they're trying to outsmart you. So yes, in that way, it's very real, and it's very crucial to get it right.
So you moved on to another role in Ubisoft, and now you're at Xbox, based in Sydney, the site manager for Xbox.
Yes. So I manage Xbox Live. Whenever you log in, you see our Xbox Live dashboard. I manage everything that we put into that. So basically telling people about the new arcade games and the new game add-ons and the new movies, like all the stuff that we add to the surface. That's what I tell people about through that medium also.
And that covers New Zealand as well?
Yes, yeah, both Australia and New Zealand I do the work for. And I also do our Facebook and our Twitter, really just getting out there with the community, getting their opinions, trying to help whenever they have issues. Telling about the new games, seeing what they're excited about. And
there's some great new titles on the way, of course, with Halo Reach on the way. But also in the hardware, tell us about Kinect.
So Kinect, that's actually what I'm here showing to some of our Xbox partners. We're not showing it publicly yet, but our partners have been seeing it, and it's controller-free gaming is the shortest way to say it. Kinect, it sees you. It has a 3D camera that can identify you. It would know the difference between you and me. It can recognize your face. It can recognize your voice.
So if I walked in front of my Xbox and it scans my face and recognizes me and logs me in.
Yes. So it would know you as a different person from, say, your brother or a sister, whoever you happen to have in the house or sharing an Xbox with. It knows the difference between all of you.
Wow.
And when you step in front of the Xbox, it can see what you're doing. So one of my favorite examples of this is one of the games that we have coming out for Kinect called Dance Central. Now, I remember dance games like DDR, right? People go crazy about that in the arcade.
Yeah.
And all it ever was a series of arrows on a mat, and you have to step on them in the right order. But now you get something like Kinect that can see everything that you're doing,
Right.
not just if you've put your foot on this arrow. So it can see your hands, it can see your head, it knows everything. So you get moves in there like Sprinkler and Running Man, and it knows what you're doing. So this Dance Central game can give you hundreds of moves. It says do this, do this, do this, and it knows what you're doing if you're doing it right, and it just takes dancing games to a whole new level.
I mean, in your view, as an experienced gamer, is something like Kinect going to revolutionise gaming, or is it just another aspect of gaming? It's another thing on the side. It's just another branch of gaming.
I think it's another branch of gaming. I don't think controllers are going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think that controllers they're there because they work. And they're a very good way of interacting with the game world for certain games. But this allows different types of experiences. So it broadens it. It makes all the possibilities with gaming bigger. You can do more with it. Now, whether you want to do a shooter-based game or an adventure-based game, or whether you want to do action-based games and obstacle courses or interactive toys, it just opened up a whole new realm of possibility.
Excellent. Well, I'm certainly very excited about it coming out in November.
Yes, coming out in November.
Ashley Jenkins, thanks so much for coming on and spending some time with us here on the show. AKA Jinx, you still known as Jinx? Is that
Yep, I'm still Jinx.
Is that your gamer tag as well?
My gamer tag is Jinx OZ.
Jinx OZ. Thanks very much, Ashley.
Thanks.
Precision. What